Good morning. So I'm in a completely different setting today. I'm sitting in front of this beautiful painting called Art is Enough in my room. I'm not in the studio today, which is quite fitting because today's theme is creative cycles or creative seasons. Now, this is a topic that I've spoken about a lot before on my Instagram. You can go listen to more videos there. But I want to just give you an introduction to this idea here as well. So, Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes is one of my muses that wrote The Creative Fire, which this challenge is named after, and also my painting classes every Wednesday, writes in the Creative Fire about this idea of the creative cycle. And she writes first a story about Persephone and Demeter. Persephone is Demeter's daughter. Demeter is the goddess of vruchtbaarheid, what's that? Fertility, giving crops, making the harvest happen. You know, the goddess of abundance, of feeding. And Persephone, her daughter, is the princess of play, of joy. She is the personification of the inner child artist, essentially. And then Persephone gets stolen by Hades, the god of the underworld. And Clarissa goes on to analyze this story as being that sometimes a part of our psyche steals Persephone, the one that brings joy, the one that is playful, the one that is the inner child. And then Demeter goes into this deep depression and there's no harvest that year. And she searches for her daughter for a long time, and then the story goes on. She finds her daughter, she brings her back to the world, and then everything is fine again. But Hades is a part of our psyche that takes our joy and our playfulness away in order to either, like I said in one of the previous videos, to help us survive, or to keep us safe from other people, or because it wants to keep that joy and that expression and that playfulness to itself. Okay, so this is the part of the psyche that's maybe an unhealthy part of the psyche, that is the fear, the judgment, the criticism, the overactive mother, the overactive father complex. It's a part of your psyche that talks you out of your creativity, right? Okay, so that is the one aspect of how creativity can potentially be blocked or dwindle away or just completely stop, is when Hades, a part of your own psyche, comes to steal your joy away. Another aspect of this is then Clarissa goes into telling the second version of the story of Persephone and Demeter, where Persephone walks in the forest and then hears voices calling from the underworld, and then finds a passage into the underworld, goes into the underworld, see the dead, and then is strapped up by her feet hanging from a tree and dies. And then she's dead for 3 full days before she is arisen again, and then she goes back up to the top world, and she is more wise with her energy, and she understands life and death, and she brings this wisdom to this aspect of play and expression and creativity. So this is the healthy part of the psyche that sometimes have to go, the healthy part of creativity that goes through a cycle of death in order to be reborn. Okay, so this is the cycle I want to talk about today, the healthy cycle, the healthy seasons. So when you become in tuned and intuitively connected to your creativity, you'll start to notice that there is a cycle, a very clear pattern. The reason I'm not in my studio today is because today and yesterday I'm feeling a little bit of a creative winter coming on, where I want to rest. I don't want to, I'm not in a flow state. I don't feel the flow of creativity so strongly. And now, because I've gone through these cycles often, I know that this is the best time to rest and to hibernate, because without the winter, there is no harvest. So sometimes we don't feel creative because it is just part of our natural cycle, and we need to culminate and we need to gather energy and inspiration. We need to lie in bed and watch Netflix for a day. We need to go out and watch a movie. We need to do something else to recharge. And that's healthy. It's healthy to not push and produce through your creative winter. Okay? And sometimes we feel in a flow and it comes out of nowhere and we're just bubbling over with energy and creativity. This has been me for the past 2 weeks. I've been painting like crazy. I produced, I think, 12 paintings in 2 weeks. It's been a wonderful time. And now I need to honor the fact that I have spent a lot of energy and I need to rest and culminate the energy again. Okay. So this is the pattern for today. I'm also going to share a meditation with you that is about your natural rhythms and cycles by Sarah Blondin, one of my favorite teachers, and she goes a little bit deeper into this analogy, not in terms of creativity, but in life at large. Okay, so listen to that and reflect on the writing exercise on what is a creative winter. What does a creative winter feel to you? Okay, like to you, and it's not. This is now where you're going to have to reflect on the part of yourself that is blocked and doesn't want to create because some part of your psyche is being too critical, is being too perfectionistic, is being too judgmental, is being too fearful, versus when you are in a natural resting and hibernation phase. Okay. So you can just do a brain dump, some reflective writing on what a creative winter feels like to you. How do you relate to your creative winter? Do you allow yourself to rest? What do you do to rest? What do you do to recharge? All of these kind of questions, and flesh that out. Okay. And then you're going to do an exercise where you're going to connect to where you feel like you are now. And if it's too difficult for you to connect to your creative cycle because that part of your psyche that is still quite active, that is actually unhealthy and taking you out of your cycle, maybe you can just make a drawing of what the 4 seasons feel like to you if you imagine that you are more in touch with them. Okay, so almost like a manifestation drawing again, where you imagine that you are connected to these aspects of your life and what they look like. Okay, so this can be an extremely abstract depiction of the seasons. You can work only in color, only in form, in line, and really kind of just express it out, or it can be a specific scene that you depict. Maybe you in your studio in different phases, and try to get, once you've written out your feelings of your cycle and how you connect to your cycle and how you connect to your winter, how can you symbolize that with the tool set that I've given you over the last week and a bit? How can you symbolize and express that in this drawing of your cycles? Okay, so it's a very free and open drawing. I'm not going to demonstrate today. I'm honoring the fact that I am tired and I'm going to rest. I'm not going to draw. So this is now where you can go back to any of the prompts that I've given you and use them to the way that you feel, to your pleasure, to the way that you feel they will best suit this exercise, and connect to your seasons and cycles in any way that makes possible to you. And if you are in a winter and you're clear on that, and you're clear that it's a healthy winter, it's not one that is based on fear, perfection, drive to rather work or do your other things, then rest. Then don't do today's exercise. Have a beautiful day.